Folks, is that better? Are you getting any audio now? Let me know. Let me know if we're getting any audio. Any audio? Let me ensure. All right. Folks are saying they don't have any sound. All right. Let's see what's happening here. All right. Bear with us. Let me see. Let me ensure we're good to go. Testing, testing. Are we getting song now, guys? Are you getting that song now? Testing, testing. Let me just make sure we're good with that. I think we're going to get audio now. Are we good, guys? All right, you guys are saying loud and clear. Guys, good to see each and every one of you, wherever you're joining us from. Good to have you guys in the ring this evening. And as you know, as you come on, you have to share the live stream. We are privileged. We are privileged. I missed you guys on Friday. I missed some of you guys on Friday, believe it or not. But I'm very grateful that my brother and colleague and my friend, Christopher Jones, would have stepped in there and held the fort for us, holding it down on the home front. Good to have each and every one of you joining us. Hundreds of you already joining the live stream. I see Ann Stall and Orwin Doncook, all the usual suspects. Colleen Bailey and Sharmila, Simeon Carter, Keisha Millington, and Ariane Semple. Good to see you there. Ariane joining us from South Carolina. All of the folks in the house, all of the ringsiders in the house. Ingrid King, and then Fordyce, Royston Sampson. Good to see you there. And Cecile Ogle. Good to have all of you guys in the ring tonight. Lynette Fraser, I see you there. Lynette and Roxanne Nicholson. I see. Let's Roll Out. That's the name on Facebook. Let's Roll Out. Right, I see folks there making some comments about my brother James Bond. Y'all left James Bond. There's method to all of our madness. Y'all left James Bond. Right? Y'all left James Bond alone. Joan Jeffrey and David Wood, Gavin Holder. Marcus, good to see you there, Marcus. Julie, Wise Up, good to see you there, Wise Up. Yekin Lynn, good to see you there. Sandra Hanover, Auntie Sandra, good to see you there. Shelley DeRidder, good to see you as well. All of the usual suspects. And guys, I invite you to share the live stream. Wherever you guys are joining us from this evening, we're just ensuring we have everything on the up and up at our end. Good to see Shane Warren Jr. and Alicia George, Kim Walker. The register being taken, folks. And I invite you to share the live stream. Hope you're hearing us loud and clear from Grenada. Ronlyn Alfred and Jomo Fanfare, Don Raymond, Charlene Jordan, Jennifer Daniels, Jaretta Jackson, Felician, Ingrid. Good to see you, Ingrid. Those folks who are joining us at home in Guyana, in the diaspora, whether that's the Caribbean, it's for the north, it's for the south, it's for it's closer to the equator, wherever you're joining us from. Guys, it's Pashwe Monday, and we got so much to share. We're going to have a couple of folks dropping by. Abigail Young, but Abigail don't drop by. Abigail, good to see you there. Claudine LaRose Duqua, hope we're getting that last name correct. All of you guys, wherever you are joining us from this evening, forgive whatever little technical glitches. We are set up in a new location this evening because we got some new faces we're going to be featuring during the course of this week. I'm trying to choose my words correctly. And then we have a big activity this coming weekend that we want to bring you live and direct as events at home in Guyana heat up with the protest activities that have been happening, guys. We're going to be bringing you some of that from in the diaspora. What with Jack Dio? Jack Dio run out. All of a sudden, Jack Dio run out, increase. Right? People say all kinds of things. Jagdio got COVID, Jagdio got cancer, Jagdio got diabetes, he's sick. I don't know. I don't know the veracity of those statements. I mean, if folks got his medical records and they want to share it with us, fairly well. Fairly well. We want credible and valid information. But Jagdio ran out from wherever he was hiding from for the last few days. For the last few days, folks. Where was he hiding? And I will tell you, this man is the author of confusion. You see, if you check confusion powder, you check confusion powder in the dictionary, there is Jagdio photograph right next to it. Confusion powder himself. He got the factory, confusion powder. He's Trump cousin, He is Trump cousin, confusion powder, start to finish, guys. And, he made quite a few statements, over the weekend. And, the things that he should be talking about, we don't find him very forceful on the crime. What's happening there with crime, folks? My God, you should hear what the people in the diaspora are saying. Guys, in the tenor or in the vein of transparency and credibility, I would have you know that I am currently in the diaspora. I am with the troops deep south in the USA, deep south, embedded with the 5th, 6th, and 7th Battalion, deep south in the USA, folks. And we're going to be bringing you some of the viewpoints of the diaspora, especially this week, leading up into that rally over the coming weekend. And we're going to be touching base with folks at home in Guyana. Those of you who joining us on YouTube, you're joining us on Twitter, you're all in Facebook. We invite all of you guys to share the live stream in the vein of transparency, because y'all not gonna hear something happening. You say, "Oh, you never tell me." Deep South, embedded with the 5th, 6th, and 7th Battalion. Did I call that right the first time? Embedded, guys. We are receiving intelligence, we are regrouping, and we are coming strong. And guys, I'm telling you, as we approach the first year anniversary of In the Ring, I'm going to be calling more and more on you guys for support. We want to expand what we're doing. We have to take this message wide and far, and sometimes I gotta bring it myself. And that is what is happening currently. I am in the diaspora with my brothers and sisters. I've been touching base with so many persons, and so many persons have been reaching out to me, wanting to know what is happening back home. And we've been talking in our groups and meeting one-on-one. Tremendously privileged and heartened by the support of so many persons that are here in the diaspora. And I want you guys to know that we could not do it without you. Anthony Sleeping Stone, we can't do it without you. And Freddie Jackson and Patricia Asana, Marvin Johnson, Elaine Johnson, Samantha Jilks. We cannot wage this war. We cannot fight this battle without so many of you. You guys are integral. And as we always say, you have your roles to play, and I have my role to play as well, guys. And I take this role tremendously seriously. Tremendously serious. And we aren't giving any quarter to the enemy. We aren't giving any quarter to the foe. So it don't matter how Jagdio come and run out. He understands that they have had such a poor showing. Apologies. They have had such a poor showing over the last year that he has got to come now and do some damage control. He has got to come now and distract. He has got to come and distract from what they're doing. Good. So don't worry all of these things that he's saying. Now, if, for instance, you believe that, Vol Lawrence's phone was tapped, and Kemraj Ramjatan's phone was tapped, and Tratman's phone was tapped, and Harmon's phone was tapped. If you know so much, produce the evidence. Clinton Orling had it right. If it's one thing he had right, show me the evidence. And more than that, I want to know who phone Jagdio tapping. I want if me phone tap. If members of parliament phone tap. If people who they perceive to be to be supporters of the coalition, if their phones tap. Those are the things I'm interested in knowing. Right? But they are so concentrated on looking back. All they got is this allegation of rigged election. 1 year later, all of these court cases, nobody is sentenced yet. All the claiming, oh, Lowenfield this and Roxanne Myers that and Mingo, they still at GCOM. They carry Valder to court. They got James in court. They got Carol in court. Who else they got in court? A whole host of people. 1 year later. And they cannot show us Guyana in 5 years. They cannot articulate for us Guyana in 10 years or 15 years. All we got to do is looking back. Oh, Granger, the tap phone. Who phone you're tapping? Who phone you're tapping? And the people who know who phones tapping, let us know. I want to know who phones Jack Dio tapping. He know a lot about tapping phones. He and Ramsamy. Leslie Ramsamy. Remember Ramsamy had the spy equipment to tap phones? So Jack Dio know a lot about tapping phones. A lot about tapping phones. So I'm not going to be distracted by him throwing up those things. And you folks do not be distracted by that either. I want to know what y'all are doing. So y'all keep looking back and you're going to leave right behind. Y'all are going to be left behind. So y'all keep looking back. If you know phones tap, perhaps you have a public duty to present the evidence. But y'all aren't doing that. It's a whole bunch of nastiness and nonsense that you're all doing. The time you're all taking to focus on Granger, y'all should focus on your own tenure. Read Starbuck News yesterday, the editorial, real Starbuck News editorial this morning. And y'all better chart a better way forward. Y'all said y'all could manage COVID. Where's COVID now? You could manage the economy better. Where's the economy now? But y'all looking back of what Granger supposedly did. All of your lies. Trumped up charges 1 year later. 1 year later is a whole set of nonsense. So we're not taking that, and we're going to discuss that a little more about those issues as the program progresses. So don't be distracted. That is what he's there for, to distract. You either dazzle with brilliance, and they can't do that because they have nothing to show for the last year. So what he's doing is the other side of that. You're now going to baffle with bullshit. That's what's happening. Baffle with the smelly stuff. If you can't dazzle, you baffle. And that's what he's doing. Folks, in the Hot Topics, again, welcome in the ring. The hundreds of you who are joining us, wherever you're joining us from, whether you're at home in Guyana or like me, you're in the diaspora this evening, whether that's closer in the Caribbean or you're more North America, you're in Canada, you're in Europe, you're in Asia, wherever you're joining us from, wherever the thousands of Guyanese are joining us from. And folks, message us. They'll join us from London. They're joining us from Suriname, as close as Suriname. They're joining us from Trinidad. They're joining us from China. They're joining us from all kinds of other countries in Europe and other countries in Central Asia, right? Other countries in Central America, Latin America, and we're tremendously privileged, guys, by that. Let's walk through some of the hot topics. A very good evening to Freddie Jackson, again, Patricia Asana, Marvin Johnson, Elaine Charles, Samantha Jilks, all the usual suspects, Linda Campbell, Ayana Yassin, Carol Fortune, Ernest Elliott, Audrey Ward, Diane Fordyce, Linda Campbell. Good to see each and every one of you. Linda joining us from New Jersey, Desmond McDonald, and Lenny Ramachar. Good to see you there, Lenny. And Dawn Sturge, Elizabeth Williams, Niles. Good to see you, Colin Isaacs, Gavin Holder. Is it Jackie Beard and Charwin? Good to see you. Good to see you, Auntie Yvette. Good to see you. All of you folks who are joining us, and even Guyanese who are living in the diaspora, who are visiting home at this point. God, I'm sorry. I hope y'all aren't shocked too much. Join the protest. What's happening there, guys? And let's do what we got to do. Let's do what we got to do. Welcome in the ring, each and every one of you guys. We are tremendously privileged. Thank you guys for tuning in last Friday when Chris had to come. We are tremendously privileged to have you each and every night, Monday to Friday. And sometimes you all know we get Vix and we come over the weekend. Gwyneth Jones and Rojan Motilal Singh. Good to see you, Rojan Motilal, Nigel Anderson, Alexis Muir, Prophet, lots of names. Mark Julian, good to see you. Alia Waldron. Alia, see you're creating a lot of problems there. Alia, see you're creating a lot of problems. I can't leave you for a minute. I cannot leave you for a minute, Alia. It's pure problems. Guys, let's get into the hot topics. And let me walk you through a couple issues internationally. Internationally, guys. Let's pick up on some of what has been happening internationally. And if everything doesn't work smoothly this evening, we're still setting up studio where we are. And where we are currently is temporary until we have, till we are where we're supposed to be. Good to have all of you guys there. Internationally, guys, I want to focus on some stuff. All right, I think we have. All right, this is not internationally, but we're going to touch on it nonetheless. I tell you, everything mightn't work perfectly this evening. Clearly, this information is not international in the true sense, but we are following what the GPSU is saying. And in a recent statement coming out of the GPSU, they have said they're not surprised by Jack Dio and the PUP utterances. They are not surprised by that at all, but that they are very, very resolute in protecting workers' rights. And they are maintaining very, very strongly and solidly that this mandatory and forced vaccination is illegal, among other issues. And so we hope that you guys have had a chance and will have a chance shortly to read that complete statement. But again, the Guyana Public Service Union is saying they are not surprised by some of the utterances by the fraudulent installed PPP government. They are not surprised one bit by that. And again, they believe very strongly, and it's a position that I support and the opposition team supports as well, that this forced vaccination method, this coerced vaccination method that the government has suddenly adopted, it is absolutely illegal. And if we got to go to court, guys, we're going to do precisely that. If we got to go to court, we are going to be precisely that, and we're going to be circling back to this issue. But internationally, guys, internationally, and this is why we know that they are wrong in the method. Sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do things. Because, for instance, we saw just today, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, he has indicated to the armed forces that by September, the other vaccines that soldiers in the U.S. and service members in the U.S. are mandated to take because they want a healthy and strong defense system, COVID vaccines are going to be added to that list. So Mr. Lloyd Austin has come out as U.S. Secretary of Defense, and he has given an indication to the armed services where the government is going. Not so in GT. Not so in Guyana. You wake up and they got tubes down your throat and needles in your arm. No respect. Is the disrespect that people cannot handle. It is the absolute disrespect by this current administration that is going to cost them the next election, because we are throwing them out. So PPP, prepare for opposition. Prepare for opposition. The people are going to throw you guys out. And again, for those of you who are now joining us, whether you're at home in Guyana, you're in the diaspora, we invite you to share the live stream. Whether you're in the suburbs, you're on YouTube, or you're joining us in the Bel Air of social media, you are joining us on Twitter, share the live stream. We want to hear from you guys. And for those of you who are in the ghetto like me, who love the rumble and tumble and the rough of the ghetto, we welcome you guys into the ring and share the live stream. So again, this is the U.S. Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, rather, Lloyd Austin, who is signaling they ain't coming today for tomorrow and saying soldiers take the vaccine or the gate for the U.S. Army is going to be closed. Nonsense. Nonsense. Stop it. Stop that nonsense, PPP. Stop it. The U.S. is leading by example. The U.S. is leading by example, and that is why congressmen like Albio Series and Hank Johnson and even the U.S. Undersecretary of State has been speaking out about how the PPP conducting themselves. So y'all continue. Meanwhile, y'all stop you. Y'all continue. Y'all continue. Y'all meeting. Hold on. In addition to international news, but closer at home, our condolences to the people of Antigua and Barbuda who lost a former Prime Minister, Mr. Lester Bird, who passed away earlier today. And we were made to understand that Prime Minister Bird was very, very kind to Guyanese living in Antigua and Barbuda during his tenure as Prime Minister and even afterwards. And so we joined with our countrymen. We were all citizens of the CARICOM community. We are all citizens of the community. And so what happens in Antigua and Barbuda affects us. What happens in Trinidad affects us. What happens in St. Lucia and St. Kitts and Nevis affects each and every one of us. And so we are with our brothers and sisters there, our CARICOM Caribbean brothers and sisters in Antigua and Barbuda this evening, and we mourn with you the loss of former Prime Minister Mr. Lester Bird there just this morning. And our thoughts and prayers are with his friends and family and his loved ones. Yep, and that's what's happening in Antigua and Barbuda among protest activity on the same issue of mandatory vaccines. On the very same issue of mandatory vaccines. PUCKATORY people. PUCKATORY. This is what characterizes this current illegitimate installed regime. PUCKATORY. They don't know the hand from the foot. It's PUCKATORY. And when you get an IFLOT graduate, an IFLOT university graduate, we end up with all kinds of things. We end up with all kinds of things. Right? It's PUCKATORY. Irfan Chupadi. Ibasadi. Read yesterday's Starbucks News. Read yesterday's Starbucks News titled Pettiness. And you'll see the PPP 1 year summed up very nicely. And I often tell you that we quote Starbucks News as a middle-of-the-road publication and even more leading to PPP than it is to the opposition APNU AFC. And so when PPP don't get fed, when the Starbucks News don't get fed up and tired of them, you guys can imagine where we are. So Starbucks News said, again on the issue of consulting with the opposition constitutionally, the PPP wants to tell us that the substantive appointment of Chief Justice and Chancellor and Commissioner of Police and all the other meaningful consultations that must happen with the leader of the opposition constitutionally can only happen if the opposition, an opposition leader, recognize them as a legitimate government. And Starbucks News said, nonsense. IFLOT graduate Irfan Ali, nonsense. Nonsense. It went on to state that for a man who talks about oneness and unity and one Guyana, he's doing things totally opposite to that. Totally opposite to that. Totally opposite to that. Read that editorial. It wasn't written by the opposition. It wasn't written by APNU AFC. So your own people who lean to you are saying you are doing nonsense. Are saying that you all are doing nonsense. People have legitimate fears about these vaccines, and what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Legitimate fears. You got people I'm talking to in the diaspora want to come home, bring the wealth that they've accumulated over their work life in the diaspora, want to come and help to develop our country in this way, bring their resources with them. But crime, PUCKATORY crime, PUCKATORY. Now we don't know police from thief. Because according to credible reports, I see both in Starbuck News, in News Source, and other places, not newsroom, news source, Gordon Mosley, news source, credible and valid information. One report suggests that there were policemen involved in this Kitty Campbellville gold dealer heist. The 50, how much billion? I saw another report that suggests soldiers were involved. So in Guyana, you don't know police from thief. You cannot distinguish soldiers, police from thief. And instead of dealing with this in a way that demonstrates leadership, no, Granger tap phone. How will this help that businessman there who has suffered that massive loss? Oh, Granger do something. How will this help people who got fears about walking down Regent Street with $10 in the pocket? How will this help inspire investor confidence in our country? Oh, Granger do something. Apnu do something. Looking back all the time. All right? And then I think Newsroom said that this Jagabat Jagdio, he want to be in the engine room. It's an old engine y'all got. A set of old used tires, a old engine that can't go. The engine on fire yet. 1 year later, we are waiting for the engine start. 1+ year later, we are waiting for the engine to start. And there's a whole set of backfiring. What happened to the economic dynamism? The engine is starting. It's backfiring. What happened to the crime plan? It's backfire the engine. He want to be in the engine room. You better take you out of the engine room if you want to move forward. He want to be in the engine room. What happened to the crime plan? What happened to the 50,000 cash grant for school children? What happened to the 40,000 old age pension? Oh, it's the engine room. Backfiring. Old engine. Old used engine. Old used tires. Alibaba and the 40 thieves. A set of old used tires. And it was the commander of, I think, Division 4 who told us, what is the gentleman's name? That they are policemen, and we spoke about that a few shows back. They are policemen, he said, in Region 4 who were involved in criminal activities. He said it is almost public knowledge. It's a public secret. They are policemen, and this activity, the robbing of this gold dealer, has showed us that. The latest report I read on this matter said there are soldiers who were arrested in connection with this gold dealer being robbed. And all the report says there are policemen who were involved. And those of you who support them, Jack Dio, you better tell he focus on the right things. My mother used to tell us your priorities mix up. And it's that hard language pointed us in the right direction. And that's what happened to these Jagabats. Their priorities mix up. Mix up. Right? Another article a couple of days back. Same Starbuck News, difference. Same editorial. Said honeymoon finish. Honeymoon finish. There's only so much you could blame APNU ALC for. Y'all got the command of state, the ship of state. Y'all wanted it, y'all get it. And now y'all looking back. What Granger do? What somebody else do? Y'all looking back. And in your Guyana that you are managing, Guyanese can't tell soldier and police from thief. So when the police stop we on the road, we know who's stopping we really. When you see somebody in camouflage, you're hoping it's a soldier, a true soldier. When you see somebody in that blue and black, you're hoping it's a real police. But under the PPP, you don't know police from thief. I don't know what you. I miss Granger. Granger said he wanted a incorruptible commissioner of police. Incorruptible. You know what the PP want? People that they can use. Right? People that bowing down to them and pledging allegiance, like how Trump wanted James Comey to bow down and pledge allegiance. The difference with y'all is that they don't have the testicular fortitude, Karen Bash and all the others, the usual suspects. They don't have the testicular fortitude. They said no. They can't be a Paul Slow. Behind the back, they can talk you down and cast aspersions and spew lies. But to say to Jagdio and the cabal, the Kavakamites, the hypocrites, the hypocrites, to say to them that y'all are doing nonsense and I will not be involved in it. Y'all don't have that testicular fortitude, but y'all better grow up here. So under their administration, we don't know police from thief. People call me all the time. They call us all the time, and they have real fears. A woman called me the other morning and broke down in tears about this vaccination. She has a whole host of comorbidities. She got a son who is differently able and who was made that way by vaccines that he received as a child. And when you come down and you start talking about vaccinating children and forcing her to be vaccinated, the woman was inconsolable. But y'all heartless. Some of y'all even got children, so y'all won't understand. Some of y'all got wind seed and barren, so y'all won't understand. And it is sad that I have to be this blunt with y'all. But because y'all are so numb, y'all aren't feeling the plight of average Guyanese. Y'all aren't feeling the plight of the small man. And that is the challenge that we're having. Y'all aren't feeling the plight. I have some folks standing by, one of my guests at least standing by. So let me hasten through. So we are no soldier from police from thief in the PPP Guyana. It's thief ban country right now. Thief in Wild West. Robbery, Wild West. I know some of y'all miss Granger too. And on the COVID front, it's getting even more dire. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine these Nakovakamites, these Jagabats. We're seeing at Letem, people being locked out. A surgeon who is probably working for next to nothing already. Working for next to nothing. Right? When you got a surgeon in a place like the interior of this country, they should be getting national awards. Big, huge risk allowance. It's in the interior in a gold mining camp. They shot the manager, they shot somebody, and they shoot the dog. And these are the places these people are risking their lives to be of service to the healthcare system. And he is locked out of the hospital. Let me see where that is. This is the I want to call the name right. The name of the area. Yes. Nurses and staff. This is in Letem. He is locked out. Locked out. And here is some of what would have transpired. Locked out, ladies and gentlemen. Locked out. I think we have some video towards this effect.
Got to do something.
Well, I ain't taking the vaccine and I waiting by the gate. I can't go in.
Yep. No audio was on that video, so you didn't miss anything there, as far as I know. Locked out nurses and staff in Lethem, at the hospital in Lethem, and among them a surgeon. A surgeon. I don't think that surgeon earning $500,000, but he's been locked out. I don't think he's earning 500,000 Guyana dollars monthly. Nurses and staff, because you don't want them to push a needle in your arm. And it gets worse. So that is Lethem lockout. Well, you have national lockout now. So the government in the dictatorship of Ali and Jagdeo saying unvaccinated Guyanese going home to your country of citizenship and of birthright cannot enter if you're not vaccinated. Cannot enter if you're unvaccinated in your own country. Cannot enter if you're vaccinated. Locked out of your own country. Yeah, continue. Locked out of your own country. See, if you're going home and you're vaccinated, just today we saw this. This headline burst across our screens. You are a Guyanese citizen. And a government, your own government, you don't see why people treating me anyhow at other places? You don't see why people treating me anyhow other places? We own government. We own government. Well, y'all government, not me government. Locked out. And they think that is bad? So the opposition go on to Parliament. Because we think we're living in a progressive democracy. And so we submit a motion to discuss the government's vaccination policy, this illegal installed government, their vaccination policy. And you know what the speaker said? It is not urgent, it's not important. Same thing we did when they had the flood. We want to discuss how the government is approaching the flood situation. It's not important, it's not urgent. And it's the same day during the flood that Ali said it's a national disaster. And today, this Jacobite and Judas, Mansour Nadir, could tell Guyanese people, you can't come here when the people put you out to represent them. More than half the country put the opposition to represent in Parliament. Your vaccine discussion is not important here and it's not urgent. The Speaker of the National Assembly told us that. And to tell us some more of this, I want to welcome this evening the Member of Parliament, Jurita Finance, and we're supposed to be joined by the Chief Whip a little later on in our program. We hope he's able to join us. Member of Parliament Finance, a very good evening.
Good evening, Sharon.
And I have been receiving some very good reviews from you about you in the diaspora, Member Finance, and so I'm happy to have you know that.
Thank you. I appreciate. You know, Sharon, I'm glad that you asked me to come out to join because I'm sitting there in the National Assembly and as we say in Guyana, I almost in my soul I probably had to go home and ask God for forgiveness for the things that I was being pushed to say to certain people. You would know these known culprits that would push and push and push all the time. The level of misogyny in the house is just ridiculous, and sometimes we wonder if this is what we have come to as a country. Ganesh Maipal right now, he is speaking as I speak to you. He's on the floor. He's adding to the debate of the Walter Rodney motion that the PPP brought to the House. Mind you, they're bringing a motion on Walter Rodney, but they're not bringing a motion and a COI on Satdio. So, and they're not bringing one for Courtney Cromie Wing. They're not bringing anything for the Henry boys. You're muted, Sharon.
Apologies here. MP Finance, I was saying it's politics.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Today we had I can tell you we had a lineup of bills to be debated today. I can actually open to let persons understand the level of politics that we deal with every single day when you're dealing with the PVP. Persons came here today, and I can tell you, we had the petroleum bill, we had summary jurisdiction, civil law of Guyana, police amendment bill, firearm evidence, the evidence bill, narcotic drug and psychotropic substance bill. We had all of those bills today. In the very last, we had a motion, and that is a motion in COI with Rodney. We only completed the debates on the petroleum bill, which was the very first bill. And then because, well, I can tell persons that the coalition MPs came prepared to go through the entire night debating all of the bills and everything. We were completely prepared, but at the end of the first bill debate, the chief whip of the PP changed around the order paper and brought the very last item, which was the motion on the COI concerning Walter Rodney. And so that is being done now. So more than likely, I expect that none of the other bills that I just mentioned will be debated here tonight. I don't expect them to go back to it. I see them just pulling forward the Walter Rodney motion to try to squeeze some political juice out of it before we go into recess, which recess starts tomorrow for persons who don't.
That is the wickedness of the PPP, in that they have padded the order paper, they have padded the agenda of Parliament to make it seem as though they're interested in those other things.
Correct.
What they're interested in is the politics, and as you say, squeezing the juice out of Walter Rodney. What has happened to the inquiry over Cromie Wing? Walter Rodney died how many years ago? No disrespect to his family, and wanting justice for that. But the same way Walter Rodney died on in our history, we had Cromie Wing who died under their watch. And it's an indictment on them. We had Saturday saw their minister of government, and his family has been calling for justice, same way like Walter Rodney, but they have no time with justice for Saturday saw or Cromie Ring or Winston Waddle for that matter. It's politics.
But this is what we see. This is what we see every day. You know, Judge Sherrod, when we listen to the debate as it go on, the PPP would come to the house. For anyone that follows the actual debate of the PPP, when they take to the podium to discuss any matter at all, they would go on and on about every single thing except the bill or the motion that we're actually debating. And whenever the coalition members of Parliament take to the podium, and once you start to deviate and respond to the politics that they bring to the floor, they would be like, oh my God, speak to the bill, you're deviating, this and that. The PPP is the living example of persons who just cry wolf. They are ridiculous with what they do. It is an utter embarrassment the way in which they behave in the National Assembly. No one, the members of the public that's actually listening today, it's a pity that you don't get to view the behavior of the PPP in the National Assembly. It's a pity that you don't get to hear the derogatory comments that comes from the mouth of the people that are supposed to be representing Guyana. It is a shame. Sherrod, I don't know if you were following all the debates this morning. Persons specifically, I know at the beginning of Parliament today, the leader of the opposition actually stood up and he brought a motion which the speaker denied. We were looking to discuss the whole concept of unvaccinated persons not being allowed to do so many things in the country. The speaker did not see that as a matter of urgency.
Because he's wicked.
Well,
that's why, and I'm happy that you've introduced the leader of the opposition there, because the leader of the opposition said today that Jagdio is a stranger to the truth, and we all know he's a stranger to the truth. And what is factual is that the APNU AFC coalition inherited an economy in 2015 that was in decline. What is factual is that the economy, as described by Winston Jordan, was running on fumes. What is factual that is over 15% of Guyana economy under the PPP was based on illegality and the drug trade. We
Well,
saw.
I want to talk to you about that specifically, Sherry. Listen to me. It was crazy today, and I want to address a few things because, but whilst debating the petroleum bill, I know persons like Ashley Singh spoke, Vikram Bharat spoke, Deodat Indar on from the side of the PPP. And when I was so, it's such an embarrassment to hear when you have persons that claim to be veteran politicians get like Ashley Singh get up in the house and try to belittle the representatives, especially young parliamentarians. I believe that he just have these punchlines that he brings to the National Assembly, regardless of what is being discussed. He just wants to come and say, "Oh my gosh, if this is a representation," and he said it today because he was responding to what MP Sherwin Holder was saying on the bill. Mind you, MP Sherwin Holder did an amazing presentation altogether, but to try to water down what he said, Ashley Singh got up after him and he was saying that if this is a representative of the coalition, they're going to remain in opposition. Sharon, when he said that, I was thinking, in comparison to who? Who is he comparing the representatives of the coalition to? By God, you cannot be comparing them to Kwame McCarthy. You cannot be comparing them to Joe Hamilton. You cannot be comparing them to Prasad. Who are you comparing them to? You cannot bring a bunch of people with absolutely no class and integrity whatsoever and then get up as though you have some spick and span bunch of people over there on the side of the PVP. And I want to actually mention something that I think Vikram Bharat got up and he was talking about the fact that he was boasting about the fact that they have 236 million US dollar that they have not touched in the when we're talking about the petroleum bill again, Sherrod. They are happy to announce to the Guyanese people that they have this money that they did not touch. The reason why they're not touching this money in the consolidated fund is because they don't want to come to the opposition to have any inclusive discussion whatsoever. But I want to point out this specific fact to Guyanese people right now. No, they're not touching that fund. And I dare say it because I don't know. I'm not going to be speaking tonight, sadly, because I was going to bring it up in my presentation. I was going to open my presentation with pointing out this fact. However, it seems like they have moved and pushed on my bill so far. It may not be coming up until after the recess altogether. So I'm going to say it here tonight. The people cannot boast about not touching the money in the consolidatory fund, not touching the $336 million US dollars that's there. When the PPP over the last 2 months has increased our internal debt ceiling by 200 billion Guyana dollars. These are some facts that persons need to get.
Yep.
Something that they're not coming to the National Assembly and saying they have increased the internal debt ceiling by $200 billion by issuing debentures. And another thing is that they're doing those debentures, Sherrod. It was between the range of 1 billion to 5 billion, and between the maturity rate being between 1 year to 20 years. Now, when you think about the debenture being matured over 20 years, you don't even want to have to imagine the amount of interest that is being paid.
That is your children paying back that money, their children, their children's children paying back that money. And they don't want to touch the money because they want to ensure the legislation is changed so that only Jack Dio, Irfan Ali, and that same one who trying to make people feel small Ashley Singh, literally small Ashley Singh, they want to be the tree that decides what happened to that money because they are thieves and scamps.
Listen, the bill altogether, there are some aspects of the bill, and I think persons like David Patterson would be more, he's more of the technical expert to speak in that department. But there are some aspects of that petroleum bill in which the acquisition of land and stuff like that, in which you put in the power solely in the hands of the minister. So to actually let David speak on this matter. David was explaining pretty well today, and I think you should pull some of that content and put it forward to the people. But basically, Shara, to put all the power in the hands of the minister, we know the legacy of the PPP. We know the beast that we are dealing with right about now. We don't assume that they are going to do something corrupt. We know the nature of the people.
Yep.
They are a corrupt bunch of people, and anything that they do, it leads down to corruption inevitably. And this is something that we would expect coming out of every bill that they bring to the National Assembly. Everything that they bring, you gotta just, when you're around the PPP, you gotta sleep with one eye open because they're dangerous people.
They're very dangerous people. And I what I'm happy about MP Finance is that the diaspora more and more is getting a good gauge in them. The diaspora can't go home now without being vaccinated, right? Because they can be turned back. And I am going to be touching on several states over the next couple of days. As I said earlier on, I'm deep south embedded with the 5th, 6th, and 7th Battalion here. And people, oh my Lord, the response from people against this government has been overwhelming. They are just getting the news and they're fed up. Those of us who are in the struggle, what must we be? Look at my forehead here. This is sunburn. Standing up in Buxton hot sun against this government because we got to go there. Boots got to be on the ground, sunburn and no sunburn. Boots got to be on the ground. And I want to give a shout out to those people who are on the square today. And some of us here, we on the live, and we can't even share the live stream. We have not even shared the live stream as yet, and we're talking about struggle.
But it's crazy that particular matter that you just brought up. When I saw it in the news, it sounds ridiculous as it actually is. How could you, as a sitting minister, put a policy in place in which you are requiring Guyanese to be vaccinated for them to come home? What do you expect them to, if you were saying that they can't board a plane to come home, because actually restrictions are being put on the airlines. If they bring unvaccinated Guyanese, then they would have to pay X amount of money as a fine and so forth. And I don't think they actually understand what they're doing, because what you're going to actually do is you're going to force the airlines from operating in this period until you remove all of those requirements. And also, I can tell you, Guyanese overseas trying to come home, this is your home altogether. So I don't know how they intend to work that out with the U.S. government. You can't tell the U.S. government, oh, you have to keep our people there. Overtime if they're not vaccinated. I mean, that is a level of ridiculousness we're facing right now.
Look at the difference. When COVID hit, the US was sending planes for their citizens to come home, and they didn't say who vaccinated or unvaccinated, but these jagabats, you understand? And I'm happy, as I said, that people are seeing them for who they are, and that those of the folks in the diaspora will write to their congressmen, will write to the president of the USA, will write to the secretary of state and tell them what is happening on the ground in Guyana, because it is nonsense and it has to stop, and we will resist the PVP at every turn.
But the matter with the vaccination issue, Sharon, and I spoke about this on a different program with Mr. Ramjatan. The vaccination issue is one that uniquely transcends political and racial boundaries within our country. Guyana is such a divided nation when it comes to almost everything, and this particular matter is one that we have. I can say I see persons coming out with having more of a unified voice when it comes to the vaccination issue. I've heard persons that are diehard supporters of the PPP crying out because of these regulations that are being put in place. And I must tell you, Sharon, they're the ad hoc nature in which even these restrictions are being implemented is just ridiculous. There was a matter a couple days ago in which a woman went to the Georgetown Public Hospital to get her daughter's what she had to do dressing with her daughter's leg and different parts of her body. She went there and she was turned back from the gate because she didn't have a vaccination card with her. Less than 1 hour after that occurred, other persons were going to the same hospital, to the same entrance, and they were being able to go in without a vaccination card. So this is a nonsense that is going on right now in the country. how could you, no matter with the surgeon not the surgeon being locked up because he's not vaccinated, that for me is alarming on so many fronts. But most importantly, when you see a medical person, a medical expert not willing to be injected with this vaccine, someone that have more knowledge in medicine than
Yep.
you and I, this,
Yep.
and he is skeptical about taking this vaccine. What the hell are you telling
Yep.
us? What are you telling us, the people of this country? Now we've always
Yep.
a political position. It is just you have a choice.
Yep.
And I think Chance today in the protest where they were spot on. They were saying our body, our choice, and that's simply what persons are saying. You
Yep.
cannot try to compare and contrast vaccines that children take as babies to this vaccine. This vaccine was approved for emergency purposes. It is chalk to cheese. You cannot bring a comparison between the two. And I see that as an argument persons are trying to make a different
Yep.
front.
Folks, we invite you to share the live stream still. MP Finance, I think one of the issues that we have is that this PPP doesn't have any credible voices. And it's a point that journalist Gordon Mosley raised recently, to the extent when he said that the PPP needs to basically shut up and let the medical professionals take the lead on this, because clearly they don't have a handle on what is happening. The US away got Dr. Fauci. I mean, Frank Anthony, Ramsamy combined, including the other Jagabat, Strip and Slap, Berry combined. There are no Fauci, right? Ramsamy, Berry, and Frank combined is an old foul. Not a Fauci, they're an old foul. And so what Gordon was saying is that they need to let the credible voices speak on COVID-19, and perhaps they can turn things around where this vaccine and the mandatory nature that they are pushing down persons' throats is concerned.
Well, persons, the thing is, and I've said before, the whole thing with the PPP is when you give them an inch, you take a yard. And once they go down this line of asking that adults are vaccinated, once they have vaccine that they have procured and they bring into this country, and they believe that they should put it now to require teenagers to take it, and then they're going to go down to your children to take it, because this is the nature of the beast. That's what they do. This is the way in which they operate. So if you don't just put a stop to this thing, nip it in the bud as it is right now, we're going to be in a very devastating state altogether. We cannot afford for the PPP to keep walking all over human rights. We cannot afford to have the PPP just ad hocly implement such draconian policies and requirements. These things need to have national pushback, and it needs to be from a unified front altogether. We're taking the fight. I can see your son born. I know that you take the fight every day, every night. And we have to continue to do it all together. I mean, I have to head back into the dome right now. I have to head back in there and face the likes of Kwame McCoy shouting over the most derogatory things. I have to do it because
on that front. Yep. Yeah, and all of us got our roles to play. That is what we continue to say. I'm here, have to be here in the diaspora, rallying support based on what is happening here, joining forces with Burke and the other guys in another couple of days. I'm going to be touching several states. Again, rallying support for what is happening, for the resistance to these guys, these jagabats, because this confusion powder, we can't take it for 5 years. This PUCKATORY, we can't take it for 5 years at all.
Nobody could take it for 5 years. Even the persons that went out and voted PPP can't take it right now. They are complaining bitterly, but it's just that they're too embarrassed to come to the front and actually to vent their frustration publicly. They can't do that, but they're feeling the squeeze from the administration that they help to put into office, and there's so many persons that are facing that reality right now. And sometimes you say it's good that they're getting a taste of the medicine that they so required.
Yep. And we're going to leave the discussion there. MP Finance, I want to thank you for taking some time out from the sitting there to guide us through some of these issues. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me, Sherrod.
Have a great evening. And folks, That's it for our program this evening. We want to encourage you guys to share the live stream. Those of you who are going to come back and watch a little later on, share the live stream as well. We want to ensure that the credible and valid information gets as far and wide. Folks, as we say every evening, continue to social distance, sanitize, wear your mask. Folks, practice all the COVID-19 protocols that are in place for your health and your safety, that of your friends and your loved ones. And you know, just today I had cause and opportunity to call out my brother, Stan Govaya. Stan and I aren't enemies. I count Stan as my brother and my friend. But I saw Stan with some colleagues minus a mask. And we have to, as public figures, Stan is now with the Public Relations Department of the Guyana Police Force. We got to practice what we preach. And even though you are vaccinated, your advice is still wear a mask in public. Still wear a mask when you're indoors. Still wear a mask irrespective of which you are vaccinated, because we understand that while the vaccines allegedly, based on what they're telling us, prevent you from dying from COVID, that you are not immune from contracting COVID. And so you can transmit COVID to other people, even being vaccinated. And the science keeps evolving and improving every day, and we're getting more information. And one of the things the CDC advised, the CDC, not the PPP, the Center for Disease Control International told us, because of the discoveries, because the research is improving and what the findings are, even the vaccinated are still encouraged to wear masks outdoor and indoor. So it is no excuse to say I've been vaccinated. We got to lead by example. We got to lead by example. So I meant no affront. Let me say that publicly to my friend and brother, Stan Govaya. But Stan is in a position of influence now, and we must conduct ourselves properly. We must conduct ourselves properly. And I don't care about friends and family and all of that. If you step out of line, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out. So folks, continue to social distance. As I said, wear your mask, sanitize, practice all the COVID-19 protocols that are there for your the protection of your family and friends and your loved ones, and your protection as well. And we want to thank you guys for those of you who've been so kind and so generous hosting me in the diaspora. I want to thank you guys. And guys, we're going to hear more and more diaspora voices throughout the course of this week into the big weekend coming up. I want to thank you for joining me. Do stay safe. Stay safe, guys. Thanks for joining us. And forget and forgive the little shortcomings in the technical aspects of the program this evening. Thanks for joining us.